Hi, welcome to Shell's Pearls of Wisdom. I am here with Joe, aka
Millie Rose Mitchell. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Millie Rose. How are you doing today?
I'm just doing peachy. Can't complain. Staying busy.
Staying busy. Oh gosh, that is the number one thing is trying to stay busy when you're trapped inside your home.
I've had no problem staying busy.
Me too. I'm finding ways to keep myself entertained.
Yeah.
A lot of binge watching of Netflix.
I
um,
haven't even had a chance to binge watch yet. I haven't had a chance to watch TV yet.
it usually happens at night with a glass of wine, and I'm winding down.
That has happened.
So we're just gonna dive right into it. So anybody that's been here has seen my show. Shell's Pros of Wisdom is just basically just a guide for women and men to kind of see other people who have had similar struggles or similar experiences that they've gone through and have made it out on the other side in a more positive way. So this is just a way that we can share that pearl with someone else so that they know that they too are not alone and that they can make it through to the other side. So, Joe, let's just get into this. Let's know about a little bit about your childhood, like how many kids, siblings do you have, where did you grow up?
Well, speaking of not being alone, that's something I've never been since I was conceived. So I'm actually one of triplets. So I am 29 years old with 15 years experience. Do the math. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I was born as a triplet. My mom had no clue that she was having triplets until she gave birth. She already had 2 children. A year later, she had twin boys, and she had another baby girl about 6, 7 years after that. So I come from a very small town in Michigan, from a very large family.
Yes, you have like a football team.
Really, yeah. She said that she should have just had a farm because she just would have had.
Oh yeah, she would have been fine for life. She would have had all the help she needed.
She goes to work for us, it was her own army. And so we all went to school together in a little town in Michigan called Cassopolis. Childhood, as you can imagine, was pretty turbulent with 8 children, and my mom was a single parent at the time.
Oh wow.
And we were bullied a lot in high school, especially me and my sisters. We went through a lot of bullying for a myriad of different reasons. I went through high school, and we were kind of the underdogs. No one really took us seriously, and we were picked on a lot for our looks and the way we dressed, and etc. And then my senior year, or just after my senior year, I decided to try out for something called Miss Cassopolis, which was our hometown pageant, because I wanted to feel pretty. I wanted to wear a gown. In reality, that's why I did it, because I'd been picked on for so long. And lo and behold, I actually won that, which was my first taste of confidence, really, or understanding that it's okay to believe in yourself and not to necessarily believe what other people are filling your head with. That's not who you are. What you believe in your confidence is who you are. And from there, I worked for my mom from the age of 12 until 24. And when I was 24, I actually went, my brother was in the military, and I went up to his Ranger Challenge. And I actually snuck him a 6-pack of beer, not knowing at the time because I wasn't in the military. And he's like, you can't have that. You gotta take that back home with you. Just a side note.
Already starting trouble. Just getting there. Already starting trouble.
He's like, you take that with you. I can't have that. And I was like, well, I didn't know. It was a group of guys who wouldn't want a 6-pack of beer. But anyways, what I saw when I was there was just this really intense sense of camaraderie, like a brotherhood. They were really proud in what they were doing, like something bigger than themselves, serving their country. And I really wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than myself, something that had a purpose and an impact. So I decided a week later to go enlist and join the military. And I have been a military policeman ever since, and I hit 21 years in the Army on April 20th this year, and I'm now currently a first sergeant for an infantry brigade, which is, there aren't too many of us that are in that position, so I'm very proud of that.
Oh, wow.
And
How many
ironically,
women? I mean, I know you said that there's not that many people in the position, but how many women?
I don't actually know the total numbers, but first sergeant is not an easy rank to achieve in the first place, but even less so for females in an infantry brigade. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of what I'm presenting, and I'm hoping that it is inspiring to some people that there don't have to be boundaries. You don't have to look at something and say, well, that's just not how it is. That's not how it's ever been. That doesn't mean it can't be. You know what I mean? So
So when you enter the military, you said you were about 24, and you kind of did it like on a whim. It wasn't like growing up the whole time you were growing up as a kid. You're like, oh, I'm going to join the military. I'm going to join. It was kind of like one of those things that just inspired you at that moment in time, and you just kind of like went for
I was really looking for that place to belong. Like, what was my niche? Where could I have a positive impact in the world? And after seeing that group together, I realized it was a brotherhood and a sisterhood. It was like a family. It was a place to have a positive impact. And I knew, and once I got into the military, you learn even more. You can achieve as much as you want to achieve in the military. There are so many different avenues that you can take and have a positive impact. There really isn't a no in the military unless you choose it to be a no. So I
it.
really
So
did like.
how did your brother feel when you told him this? Was he like proud of you? Was he like trying not to encourage you? Like, what did he say?
He was mixed at first because he was infantry, and infantry is an all male. Well, until a few years ago, it was all male. There were no females in the infantry. So it was sort of mixed emotions at that point, kind of like, female in the military, but you're a sister, so good job, I'm proud of you. A lot of that has changed, and he's just proud of me now.
Was he like
um,
overprotective a little bit, like worried about like your safety or like you getting hurt?
no, he knows I'm a pretty tough cookie. He
I
knows
mean,
I
to
can,
grow up in a family of 8, you have to be a pretty tough cookie.
yeah, especially when you're triplets and twins a year apart, you were constantly fighting for seconds, or that's
I
fine.
mean, I used to have to almost stab my brother over him eating my McDonald's French fries. It was like a war zone. So I was like,
Yeah, I
and
was
I only had
clothing a lot.
2.
My sister used to take my clothes, and I'm like, can I get those back? And she's like, well, it's
Yeah,
the only pair of pants I have. I'm like, no, it's the only good pair of pants I have.
I would imagine. I actually I cannot imagine actually. So you told me earlier that around 26 you got married. Um, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I got married the first time I got married. It's okay, it was a starter husband. I was actually set to deploy. We were supposed to get married in the spring, but I got mobilized in the fall, so we decided to push our wedding up earlier and go ahead and get married. I was subsequently deployed for 3 consecutive years at that point. It was actually 5, but at that point we did end up getting divorced. It had been 3 years, and I had only been home for about 2 weeks. So in reality, I can't blame them. I mean, civilians aren't really designed to understand that kind of separation. Even soldiers aren't designed to understand that kind of separation. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Especially when you
understood
think you're
where he
gonna
was
start a
coming
new
from.
life with someone and have this great like beginning
Yeah,
and experience, and then now it's like kind of like ripped from you.
right. So, I mean, I didn't really have hard feelings. I understood where he was coming from. It was difficult, obviously. I never really got to try to have a life with him, but at the same time, the way the world works, divine intervention, it was probably how it was supposed to end up. So,
Right, right. I'm a big believer in there. Everything happens for a reason. So,
yes, I agree with that too.
and then you said something that I caught. You caught when I said your first marriage. So when did the second marriage happen?
Well, I did something called the Army Soldier Show, which is you audition for it as a soldier. You have to be a soldier, and it's basically to perform singing and dancing all over the world. And
Cool.
yeah, yeah, I have an odd resume. It's like
Which
Army
you call
singing.
odd, I call amazing. So it's fine.
And I actually did that twice in 2003, but in 2005, I met another soldier, and who happened to be from the exact same city I was from, because they pull soldiers from all over the world to audition for the Army Soldier Show. But through the course of that, we got to know each other and we bonded. And then after the show, we decided to date, and then we got married, and we had a son together.
So is it so you're are you still currently married to this man?
No, it was pretty turbulent. He had addiction issues, which, as anyone who's ever dealt with addictions knows, you don't have to be a person that's addicted to be affected by addiction. So it really did sort of help me. I mean, we got divorced, and obviously, it just was too difficult to manage. But it really helped me just stop and look at people who are struggling with addictions, because it's really easy to get stuck in that really dark black place where you want to just be judgmental. But due to his addictions and what we had gone through, I chose to become a mentor for Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge to kind of help myself and others so I can understand how someone gets from point A to point Z with addiction, and also to help them find that piece of recovery and give them their independence, get back on their feet, and start that new, fresh life. So through that struggle and that dark period, I did find a light, and I was able to help other people, which kind of the words I live by are always find the yes. I don't think you ever need to just stop at no, or assume things have to be a status quo, or you have to accept things at face value. There's always a way to find the avenue that works, or find that light or positive in any situation.
Wow. I mean, it just sounds like overall, like, just to take a little bit of a breather with all that you just kind of gave us, it just sounds, from my standpoint and from like the person being looking into your life, you are just a person who truly just wants to help. Like, that is in your nature. And I mean, I commend you on that, because not everybody is built for the military, and not everybody is built to, handle a loved one who has suffered any kind of chemical dependency. As you said, it's as being someone who's a loved one of a person who is addicted to any kind of drug, or even if they're just addicted to maybe gambling or any kind of addiction. It is a hard road for the person who is the loved one. It's sometimes even more so harder, because you don't have the coping mechanism of the drinking or the drugs to deal with the life like the person who's doing it. So I commend you on that, because that in itself is an obstacle and a struggle that you had to overcome. And instead of like letting it beat you down, you took like a really positive stance in it, and you like decided to turn that negative into a positive. And that's just amazing. That's really awesome. It's cool.
Thank you. I mean, like I said, that's kind of how I go through life, is finding the yes in every situation, no matter how good, bad, or ugly it is. Yeah. There's always something positive you can take from it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, in between all this, you had a child, and so tell us about that.
Well, he's 11 years old, and he is very, very independent. I don't know where he gets that from. He's also a bit of an anime junkie. He loves My Hero Academia and Naruto, which I wouldn't even know what those were if it weren't for him.
You just know you buy the apparel to go with it.
Yes, yeah. He's very creative. He loves to draw and make art and create videos, and just a very creative little mind, and very creative little personality and style. So he's a cool kid. I love him.
Well, I'm sure with a mom like you, he's not gonna not be successful, because I don't even think he would even understand the not being successful with someone who has just persevered and gone through as much as you have. And I know when we were off camera, you were saying that you had some pretty good military stories that just kind of highlight how it was to be a woman in a male-dominated field. And of course, even though we're supposed to be equals, and we always try to say that, like, I can do anything that, a man can do, but I'm sure that there are struggles regardless of that notion. So tell us a little bit about that.
There are, and I just want to preface it with, every community has its bad apples, and every community has its great apple pie, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. There's a bad seed in every group. So the stories I'm going to tell you, they pertain to specific situations, but there have also been some incredibly amazing and supportive males in the military and females in the military. So when I joined the military, I didn't really notice too much of an issue through my early ranks. So it goes from, anyone who's not familiar with the military, I'm enlisted. It goes from E1 to E9, and then officers are O1 to O9. I'm enlisted, so I'm in E rank. So the junior enlisted ranks of E1 to E4, I didn't really notice too much of an issue because I don't really have much of an impact or much of a say at those ranks. But once you become an NCO or a non-commissioned officer, which is E5 to E9, it different, hierarchies and responsibility. That's when I started to notice a lot more pushback from some of the male soldiers in the military or leadership from the military, and more so for a specific example, when I deployed to Iraq, I had a senior leader who, I don't know, I guess he thought I was going to be his platoon piece, like the thing that kept his motivation going in Iraq. Not why I was there, wasn't interested. I did not reciprocate his advances. So at that point, he started sending junior enlisted soldiers out to go check on me, find out what I was doing, report back to him, who was I with. He's forged my promotion packet. He wrote this letter of basically stating that I had done all these things wrong, which I had never actually done. I'd never been in trouble. I'd never been counseled. I'd been in charge of every mission I had in Iraq. So he prevented my promotion. He re-signed my packet, which is illegal, and replaced all the paperwork in it with things that he wanted in it instead of what was real. So it was just, and all because I wouldn't, participate in his sexual advances.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a problematic. He turned my whole platoon against me, told people that I had filed all of these complaints against them, which I never did. So it was very isolating. But through all of that, again, find your yes. I wasn't going to allow the actions he was taking out of his own selfishness and rejection and let that become a permanent part of my military history. So what I ended up doing, I didn't get promoted while I was with him because he forged my promotion packet and because he put those false
I can't
statements
believe you can just do that. Like every time you say it, it kind of like, it baffles me that you can even just get away with just lying.
I filed an investigation against him, but it was a good old boy network, unfortunately, so that also went nowhere.
I was going to say it probably didn't go very
it
far.
didn't. So instead of just accepting that, what I did was I went to the unit next door and I volunteered to extend in Iraq for another 3 months with another unit. So my mobilization or deployment was 15 months long. And they did accept me, and I received a fair evaluation with them. I also got promoted with them, and even their commander went to our command, and they're like, you guys have basically proven that you have a personal issue with the soldier because her record and her character and her work ethics have spoken for themselves, and they're beyond reproach. It was that confidence I needed because I really got beat down that year just because of that. I mean, he even put me on these rotating schedules because we worked 6-7 days a week, 12 hours a day. I would be 3 days on days, 3 days on nights, which is an impossible schedule for sleep patterns, especially when you're in a conflict.
Because like right when you're trying to get used to having to switch to the day or the night, you're coming off of that other schedule.
Right, and understanding it's a combat zone. It's not garrison. It's not peacetime. You're not in the U.S. where there's no risks. I mean, we were mortar. We received, I think someone counted it. I think it was our sergeant major. 368 mortar rounds hit our base while we were there that year.
Oh wow!
So it was intense. So you're not just fighting against a combat zone, and you're doing your job properly and effectively and being alert. But I was also dealing with this individual who was trying to put me through the ringer simply
harassing you, basically. So my question is just to go back, just so I can like understand better, because this is all kind of new to me. When you said that you added on the 3 more months because you wanted to be under somebody else's direction to see if you can have that equal opportunity of growth.
Right.
How long do you normally just deploy for?
It's between, depending on what branch you're in and what the mission is, it can be somewhere from 6 to 12 months.
Okay. So you voluntarily stayed longer because you just wanted to get through and know, because you knew in your heart of hearts that you deserved this. And so you sacrificed even being able to go home to your family, have a little bit of a, basically you time away from the military for a little bit, to decompress or just to like recollect yourself because you wanted to push through and get what you knew you deserved.
Right. I wanted to find my yes in situation. And I also wanted the combat experience as a staff sergeant. I was an E5 at the time, and I was promoted to staff sergeant while I was in Iraq.
That's
So
amazing.
it was a win-win. It ended up as a win-win. It was a
Yeah,
dark
no, I mean,
road.
like I said, I commend you because you found a way to get what you wanted. And that is important because a lot of people give up the fight. A lot of people that went home said, I guess I'm just not going to do it. And they would have just, you
Right.
know,
No, I found the
no.
yes. And I also found, I mean, I started going to church more when I was there, and that really helped inspire a lot more light and positivity and confidence, and built a group, based in faith that kind of helped lead me to the belief that I didn't have to just accept that, that there are people that cared. So that
Um,
helped also.
this is like maybe a touchy situation. If you don't want to address it, you don't have to. But did you ever experience any other like true bad sexual harassment while being in the military and being a woman?
I mean, you always do with
Even
some
if it's
sorts of
like the
sexual
cat
harassment.
calling or just being inappropriate
Yeah.
or saying,
I think that's just part of the culture, and I'm pretty thick-skinned, and I mean, I joke around quite a bit also, but I know where the line is, and I always make a point to express, where my line is so that there's no gray area. So it's really about communication, and also being a senior leader, there's really kind of a zero tolerance for it at this point, at this
I was
level.
going to say, once you get higher in the ranks, it's probably even more like this is not happening. We don't make these jokes. We don't, because you're their superior.
Not in a professional environment. I mean, not that saying that, behind the scenes or when you're just hanging out and joking that you don't joke around with people, but you know where the line of professionalism or, personal time is.
Have you ran into someone who truly just could not handle being told what to do by a woman or having a woman be the one to be their boss? Like, have you ever had that?
Yeah, actually, again, back in Iraq, I was in charge of 2 of the detainee camps at Abu Ghraib. Not this one. For anyone who knows what that is, you'll know what that means. And actually all of the detainees, because females do not typically have a position of authority in Iraq. So they basically called the male sergeant of the guard up, and they're like, if we don't remove this female from power, we're going to riot. And I was, right, I'm like, well, I'm not leaving. So I just basically called the quick reaction force and our white cell and said, hey, get prepared. They said that they're going to riot if you don't remove me. I'm clearly not leaving because this is my position. And in the military, males and females of the same rank are eligible for the same position. This is the position I was put in. This is the position I'm executing. And of course, they stood behind that because there were no grounds for removing me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The NCO in charge of these 2 camps. So, and that's basically what happened. They said they were going to riot, and so I had the quick reaction force on standby. And
did they riot?
They did, yes, yeah. But the quick
reaction they force, went through with it.
Yeah. But the quick reaction force was already on standby, so they came and we had our guards in the tower, and it was squashed quickly. If you don't squash it quickly, they're open camps. It's somewhere between 2,000 and 8,000 detainees would be rioting at one time. So.
Oh, wow. Look at you. You were like, I ain't going nowhere. Not today. I love it.
It was a lot of riots, actually.
Yeah. Oh,
but we were prepared for that one. But yeah, so that was, you're a female, you're not allowed to be here, you get me in position. Why are you over these 12 males? That's not how it works. Like, that's how it works here. So.
Have you ever been seriously injured?
I have been injured, but not combat related. So I mean, I get 2 surgeries a year to burn the nerves off in my back. I've had my ACL removed. It was actually fixed and then removed. So I've had some severe injuries, but not combat related. Military service connected, but not combat connected. Contests are a blast for me, but they're also extremely painful because standing for more than 5 or 10 minutes is very painful on my back.
I can imagine. As soon as you said you had the ACL removed, I was like, whoa.
But when you find the yes when you love something, you find a way to do it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
That
that is totally your motto.
Yeah.
My other question I would ask, just because it's just fun. Did you ever find yourself kind of feeling yourself a little bit like, I did this? Like, yeah, I did. I'm gonna tell this 400-pound burly guy to go, sit his ass down over there and behave. Like, I mean, how does that make you? I mean, I would feel like My head would probably be this big. I don't know if I could fit through the door.
No, I mean, but I think we all get trained as males and females with equitable training, and you kind of take yourself and your glory out of it, because I think you lose focus. You get distracted from the mission if you let yourself become the focal
You
point.
get too cocky.
Yeah, I think that's honestly, I think that's everything in life. You put yourself in the center, you kind of lose focus on what really matters, and that's really about helping the people around you. Because at the end of your days, your legacy is really what did you do to inspire the earth? You know, what was the positive impact or footprint you left for everybody else? And it's never going to be what you did for yourself. It's always going to be what you did for somebody else. You know,
And what is the highest rank that you've held, or what are you holding right now?
I'm a first sergeant, which is an E8. It goes from, again, E1 to
So there's
E9.
only the E9 left.
Right.
Are you working for that?
I'm debating it. It's about another 8-year commitment in the military, and my son at 11 right now. I'm really debating because I don't get out for another 2 years. My ATS estimated time of separation is in 2 years. He'll be 13 at that time, so I'm really going to kind of see where he's at that point. If he needs me more in the military or out of the military, and I'll kind of make that decision then. Do I want to make it to Sergeant Major or E9? You bet I do.
I was going to say, I know you do. I could see the twinkle in your eye when I asked you.
Yeah. But my son is more important, so it's really going to depend on if his progress and advancement and development, if he would be better off if I was not in the military, because that is an additional, time away from.
That actually brings me to my next question. It like led right into that. How was it to be separated from your kid? Like, I know you wanted to fastly grow the ranks. I know you had you're very career oriented and driven. But how is it to have to, deploy and leave your kid, your baby behind?
When I was deployed to Iraq, I didn't actually have my son yet. I was still, basically married and single. But I did have a mobilization in 2017, 2018, where he could not come with me, but it was in the U.S. It was a stateside mobilization. And it was really difficult, but he stayed with my triplet sister, who looks like me, so she became Aunt Mommy.
Yeah, Mommy.
Because she looked like Mom,
Yeah, it's okay. My nephew called me Auntie Grandma. So I get it. I totally get it.
It was tough on both of us, but at the same time, he really got a good year of bonding with my side of the family in Michigan, and also with his aunts and some of his cousins that he wouldn't have had that opportunity otherwise. So would I have ever chosen that on purpose? No, but am I going to find the silver lining or find the yes in it? That would have been the yes in it. So.
That's awesome that you have that family background where when you needed them, they were able to step in and be like, Auntie Mommy. That's great, because not everybody would even have that choice or that opportunity. So I'm happy that you were able to stay on your career path, still have a healthy upbringing for your son, and everything worked out. That's awesome. So with that, everything kind of like comes right to your pinup story. Like, what made you get into pinup? Like, you're this hard, tough, like rugged. I tell men to go sit down. I control the riot that they wanted to get rid of me. To now I'm gonna like wear a dress and some flowers, and a cat's walking behind you randomly.
Yeah, my bangles.
He's so cute.
That's
I was just like, and there's a cat.
Funny. Pinup actually derived from my love of vintage. So vintage has always been my hobby first. So when I was 12 years old, I remember, because I used to do theater. I was a theater nerd. Probably part of the reason I got picked up.
It's okay. We've all been thespians. We all been there.
Yes, but I loved it. It was fun,
Yeah.
But I remember seeing the costume department, which essentially was just 50s and 60s clothing, And I remember asking my teacher, I'm like, "Can I have one of those?" And she's like, "Please take them all." So I was like, "Yes." So when I was 12, my collection started with a bang of all these 50s and 60s clothes that they had stored away for a costume department that she didn't want. So I've been collecting vintage for over 30, 32, 33 years now. And I really found just a love of like sharing it and wearing it, of course. So I'm always constantly, if girls are new to the pinup community, I'll gift them an outfit or some accessories, or girls are looking for something special for a contest, I'll let them borrow it, even if I'm in the contest, because it's like, why not? I have it there's no point letting it dry around my closet. If someone can wear it, I can't wear them all at once. So I share it a lot with girls. I mean, I've sent it, clothing to Norway, to Canada, to Germany, to France, for girls to borrow or, to gift or, to lend. Because it's just also part of giving back. But the pinup side of it really started, I guess, when I turned 40. I decided to do 40s pictures for my 40s. Just kidding. That I'm not 40. I'm much older.
I was like sitting here like, shh, you're 29 plus 15.
So I decided just to do, it was like a camera, candid pictures of, some of my vintage attire at the Airplane Museum at Snelling here, the old military aircrafts. And I really fell in love with that side of it, and I wanted to find a way to combine, meeting people, making new friends, sharing what I love with this passion for vintage and the military. And pinup seemed like the right place to be, so I started doing contests, which someone had actually told me before that you're not a pinup unless you do contests. That's not true. You don't have to do contests to be a pinup,
Yeah.
But I just fell in love with the community and the people. And I mean, there's no greater place. If you want to be where a group of women treats women like you always thought they would, pinup is that place. You know what I mean? Same for the males. I mean, you want a place where people actually act like a family and they actually care about you, and they will literally not just post it on Facebook, but they'll send you a message like, hey, I just saw this. Are you okay? Is there anything I could do for you? It's how you always hoped people would treat people, like that sense of humanity and family and community. And I am addicted to it. I absolutely love the people in this community. Like, people will ask me, like, how many titles have you won? How many crowns do you have? Or, how many things have you been published in? And I mean, I know what they are. I have them upstairs, but I don't count them as much as I count the people that I've met in this community, or the friends that I've made in this community, because that's what matters. Like, that is the true win in any event or contest or, car show. It's like the people you meet. It's the community that you're building, because you can spend 10 minutes with somebody and instantaneously become this lifelong friend that is always going to be there.
Completely. Hallelujah. Amen. I everything she's saying is true. She's not just saying it because it sounds good. I've been in this community for like 4 months, and she's absolutely right. It is addicting. It's welcoming. It's warm.
It is, right?
It is. She's not lying. I know you don't like to brag about yourself because you're very humble, which I love about you. But I do want to know some key things. I do want to know some key things. What was the first contest you ever did enter?
Okay.
I entered. And then I'll tell you all the questions, and then you can just answer them. It's okay. What was the first contest you ever entered? And then what was the first title you ever took?
Well, when I was mobilized to Texas, when I wasn't with my son, I wanted to find out who in El Paso loved what I love. So I entered, at the time it was called the Miss Great American Rockabilly Riot in 2017. That was the first contest I ever entered. The first title I ever won was Miss Great American Rockabilly Riot in 2017.
You won the first one you were in?
Yeah, it was shocking.
Sister came in there and just took it. I don't even know if you don't know how to succeed. I don't know if you know the definition of failure, but that's okay.
I know fail. Trust me, I've been there, but I always find the yes so that it doesn't stay a failure.
Yeah, awesome. Wow. Okay.
But I'm still great friends with everybody down there. I actually run the contest now every year. I go back to El Paso and I run their contest.
Are you serious? We're gonna have to talk about this because I might have to come out there.
Yes, do it. You should go. That is like, when I say family in the pinup community, that is like another level to family in the pinup community. They truly are like brothers and sisters down in El Paso. That community is amazing. They will welcome you instantaneously with open arms. It's just a really wonderful, warm, loving community, and I love you guys so much. I really do. I love the whole community, but they are like far and beyond. It was a wonderful introduction to the pinup and rockabilly community.
Oh, wow. Well, it sounds to me that you've had actually So let me get my wrapping up how I feel like your life has been, and you tell me if I'm wrong, because this is what I'm writing down notes. I take my notes while you're talking, and I am seeing such a like familiar pattern with you, and one pattern is family,
Yeah.
community, belonging, and wanting that feeling. And I
Hmm.
don't know if it's because it started in the womb, like you said, where from the womb, you were born with family. You were
Yeah.
literally came out with family. And then you had
Yeah,
like
elbow into space. Like, get out of my way.
right. And like you had a large family with the 8 brothers and sisters. And then you went straight into the military, which was like another large family that you
Yeah.
adopted and
Plus,
embraced and loved. And then you went into the Pinup community where you
yeah.
found another family where you adopted and you embraced and you loved. I mean, that is who you are, honey bunch. I mean, you are that person. You are a gatherer of like souls and happiness and family. That is something that is, when I met you, she was first of all cute as a button. And we started like shooting the shit like right off the beginning. Like she was doing like booty poses and popping it out and being all silly and like goofy. And I'm just like, who is this woman? She is awesome. But it's nice to know that people can be like that, like grounded and family oriented, and then still be silly and like goofy and have fun. I mean, you don't usually find someone who can shoot a gun off, probably pick a man off from 100 feet away, and then also do a booty pop contest. Like I don't see that many people. Right, I don't see that many people that can do that. It's usually one or the other, you know. So, and that's what one of the great things about the pinup community. There are so many women that are like that. There's so like different many
Yeah.
sides of them, where it's like that business, like I'm party in the front, and then our business in the front, party in the back kind of people. And that is
Hmm.
exactly what I feel like you embody. Like you were strong, you're militant, you're very goal oriented, but at the same time, you still know how to let your hair down, have fun, be silly, and let your fun side show. And that's hard to do, baby. And I am appreciative of someone like you. Really am.
There's so many people in the community. I think I feel the same way about. They are all, feminine and fierce, or they are strong and committed. And I mean, the more you talk to people, the more you learn their little backgrounds and their
Yeah,
histories, and just really how much everybody has that story and that footprint and that legacy and what they're
yeah,
leaving behind and that
yeah,
impact. Everybody wants to belong somewhere. And you're right. I want to have that feeling of belonging, but I also want to have that feeling of where can I give back? So
yeah,
I think all these places I've been, it allows you to
yeah.
belong, but also to give something back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it started when you let your sister borrow your favorite pair of jeans.
She never gave them back either. She kept them. Jean, if you're
Oh,
watching this, can I have my pants back?
she's like, "Can I have my pants? Can I please have my pants? All I want are my pants."
It's been 30 years. You can keep them.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, this is a great part of the segment where you can now just share your pearls of wisdom with everybody out there. If you could just do that for me.
I can. I'm actually going to give you two. You've heard me say it throughout this entire interview, but my pearl of wisdom is always find the yes. You don't have to accept the first no you get. You don't have to accept something as a status quo. Just because something's always been one way doesn't mean it has to stay that way. If you can find that other thing, that other avenue of approach that allows you to achieve what you're wanting to achieve, especially if it has a positive impact, then find that yes in every situation, no matter how good, bad, or ugly. And now for pinups, my pearl of wisdom. To go with your pearl of wisdom, I want to also offer you rhinestones of responsibility. So with every title, it's not about winning rhinestones. It's about winning that responsibility. The contest is for the pinup. It's our chance to shine, have fun, dress up, meet people. But once they place a title on you, that title is no longer yours. It belongs to the community you just won it for, and you have become an ambassador for that community. So you are winning rhinestones of responsibility. And that is my pearls of wisdom.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I might try not to lose no
Oh, maybe
eyelashes.
teach you for social distancing.
I know.
Um,
um, well, that is a great place for us to like wrap this up. Once again, thank you for coming on my show here. And if anybody does not get inspired or motivated by what you've shared, then they're just a dead soul. I don't know. Because you are very
Everyone starts
motivating.
somewhere. Everyone starts
That
somewhere.
is true. That is true. So honestly, you guys out there, like listen to what she has to say. Do not let a no be the definitive of like what you think can happen. You can always turn a no into a yes, and that is
Yes.
something that is just worth to live by. And I thank you so much again for coming on my show and hang in there with this whole entire quarantine. Hopefully,
Absolutely.
sooner than later, we get to be with each other. Also, at the end of the episode, I'm also going to just throw up a page of hers because she is doing a community because she is always giving back, and she's actually doing a community basically fundraiser for small businesses and all local businesses that are being affected right now by the COVID-19 virus of 2020. So check that out as well. Give her a little shout and like on her page on Facebook, and just show her that you guys are out there supporting her because she is always out here supporting someone else. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys later.
Thank you for
Bye.
being so supportive too, Ms. Coco Chanel. Very
Oh,
inspiring. Thank you for having me.
oh, you're very welcome. Don't hang up. I'll be talking to you. Bye. Oh, and if you guys haven't done it, like, and subscribe.
Like, share, support. Hashtag like, share, support.
Like, share, support. I like it. All right. All right. Goodbye.